All right, welcome our next guest, an old fan favorite, back to us at the Rhode Island Wave, Joanne Giannini. Joanne, how are you?
Good.
Joanne, I looked you up on Wikipedia.
Oh no!
Do you know you have a Wikipedia page?
I had heard I have a Wikipedia page because you know what happened?
What?
Near Christmas time, my nephew had given me an Alexa.
Oh.
And he plugged it in, and he goes, Alexa, who's Joanne Giannini? and it said, Joanne Giannini is a former state representative who served in the General Assembly, and it was feeling awful.
It read your Wikipedia page to him. That's wonderful. So yeah. Well, I think it's important. I think it's important that we pay honor. 13 years.
16.
16 years. You served with the state assembly.
Yeah.
As an elected official, and then, but you were also
involved before.
Involved for a long time before that.
I was a state committee woman. I was on the state committee for 10 years. Actually, before I was a rep, before I ran for office. But then I've always been involved because I was working in Providence City Hall since I was 19 years old.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, so you were there. I mean, you saw it happen. You've seen us come a long way.
A long way, baby, but not far enough.
Not far enough. I think some might say we've had a little hiccup or a correction, or whatever's going on right now is interesting. Hopefully it's just a little correction, and we can get back on track, especially as far as the women's movement goes. Joanne was there in the beginning when women were not allowed to do a lot of different things that they do today. But I always say, don't take it for granted. Don't think that just because you have your rights today that you'll have them forever.
You'll always have them. And the other thing is, too, when I went into the General Assembly, there were 100 representatives in the House of Representatives, and only 15 of us were women.
Wow.
So we were really outnumbered. And there were no women in any kind of leadership positions.
Right. So when you think about that, so that's 15%. So women are 51% of the population, but 15% of the General Assembly.
And then the following year, when I had gotten elected, we went up to 28 women. And then in the year 2000, they decided to downsize us to 75. And guess what happened? We lost 15 of the women because when they did the redistricting, they put the women against a lot of the powerful men, and we lost 15 women.
That's incredible.
Now, I'm happy to say now there's 75, but there's about 25% women now.
So, but it's still a long way to go, because when you consider we are 51% of the population.
Yeah, and women add a different dimension to the assembly. We had our life experiences. We have different ideas than the men. We had our emotions. We had so many things that the men don't, and that they don't even think of.
Right. And it's not. I mean, I think that's It's okay if at first glance you don't see all the different dimensions of an issue, but it's nice when somebody can say, "Hey, did you look at this part?" And you get to look at that other piece.
Yeah, if you go into the General Assembly and you look at it on the surface, when I first went in, I said, "Wow." We had a male governor, we had all male general office holders, and we had all men in all the high positions. And as the years went on, it started to change. I mean, we saw our first woman governor.
Yes, absolutely.
And we saw our first Senate president be a woman. And the thing is, and we haven't seen that in the House of Representatives. I always felt that the House is very powerful because they handle the budget. They handle the money.
Right.
The purse strings. And the thing about the Senate handles the judges. The judges are the ones that interpret the laws that we make. So they're both powerful in their own way.
Right. Very interesting. So now, how long have you've been out of actually?
I left in, let me see, I left in 2011. I served 16 years, and then that doesn't include the 10 years of being, I worked for a lot of people. Before I ran, I worked for Patrick Kennedy. He was the rep in the district. I worked for Mayor Cianci. I worked for Joe Paolino. I worked for Bruce Sunland. I worked.
So you were in the room.
I worked for Bruce Sunland. I worked for Anthony Solomon, Jack Reed, Sheldon Whitehouse. I worked for them all.
That's wonderful. And of course, you do some writing.
I do. I like to write, and I write about. It's funny because I write about like what things were like when I was younger. I talk about that often, the way things were. And I don't think the young people today realize how lucky they are.
Right.
And how different it was for us.
I'm gonna say they're lucky in some ways, and they're unlucky in other ways.
It's true.
I think one of the things that I try to bring to the table with the Rhode Island Wave is that old school flavor. It is a little vanilla, and it's vanilla on purpose, because it does have that little bit of an old school. This is what life was like before we had the world's knowledge at our fingertips. We had a body of information, stories. We don't need the whole world's news, and there's plenty of places you can get all the world's news at your fingertips. But to have something that we put together that's just about Rhode Island, it makes it kind of special.
Yeah, because if you go online and you're going to Google something, you're not going to find the information that you want about. It's not going to come up automatic about Rhode Island. It was so funny. Yesterday, I'm looking at something, and then I'm on Facebook, and it said, a guy was on, he said, I have a survey of who makes the best pizza in New England. And I'm like, I'm listening, and I'm never thinking what he's going to say. And he's saying, well, the person's guessing Connecticut and New Hampshire and all these places. Turns out it was Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And not many of us have had the chance to see us in a national light the way other people see us.
Right.
If they do think Rhode Island is a good place.
Yeah, I think it's dense. We're like one big giant city. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Where it's a small space, but we're jam packed with events and people and attractions. Everything from we were talking to my last guest, you can be in 4-H country and you can be in the middle of the city within a half hour.
You can. You can travel from one part to the other in a half hour. And the other thing about us, I love the ocean state, We're just surrounded by so much water, and we're blessed to have it. And when I was serving in the assembly, I always served on the Committee on the Environment, and I loved being on there because we find out the latest about the pollution and the beaches. And you read a lot, about the water being polluted and after a rainstorm, and it's a fact. And it's people don't even realize. Some of them, they go in, like Oakland Beach the past weekend was closed.
Yeah.
There were several beaches that were closed after we had all that rain. You have to be careful too, But I think we need to have more resources to protect our water. I really do. I'm a believer in that, I don't think we haven't, and we do enough, and we have enough of people checking the pollution.
Unfortunately, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Right. I hate to say that. We made a lot of progress towards it, and now you know, it is what it is. We had an election. There are people in power. They have their thoughts about it, and they're going to do it their way for a little bit.
Mm.
And there's not a lot we can do about it. Ride out the storm and see how it goes. Hopefully, we don't all suffer too much. I mean, especially when it comes to the environment, and the little turtles and the sea creatures and.
The one thing you gotta love about Rhode Island, I can say to you, Dina, on Carpenter Street, and you'll know I'm talking about Federal Hill. Am I right? Charles Street, and you'll know I'm talking
Right.
about up in the North End, and people that were born here and lived here all our lives, we know where we're going. We know. I like living in a state where I know where everything is.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and being able to been everywhere,
Yes.
And when you go visit to Florida, for instance, I mean, there's so many. It's so big. I mean,
Right.
Like, you don't know where everything is.
Right.
So it's unique. Rhode Island is unique in that respect. And everybody knows everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
I know a guy.
I don't know anybody.
No, they really do. I mean, when you think about it, and it's a small world. Well, that's how it is in Rhode Island. If you get talking to somebody, you go in a restaurant, you sit down and eat, and the person that you talk to, and then pretty soon you tell each other where you're from, and I was from there. Did you know such and such?
Right.
And it works out good. It comes good.
So your new column, it's got little tidbits. What's in, what's out. So what do you see? I know you're chomping at the bit to write about these Italian housewives.
I got to talk about these Italian housewives. Yeah, I got to talk about them. I mean, are they housewives? Do they work? Do they really? Were they born here? Did they come from here? Are their parents Italian? There's so many questions. I want to know.
I don't think we get any of those answers until the show airs. I don't know when it's going to air.
It's going to air, I believe, in the fall.
In the fall, okay.
Or that's what I heard, in the fall. But the thing about it, if it's good for Rhode Island, it's good for me. If it's going to help us and it's going to shed a positive light, All
right, so ladies, Italian housewives out there, please don't make us look bad.
Yeah, don't make us look bad, and don't make us look like with the big hair, and I know my hair looks big today because of the humidity, but we want to be like we have some normality, right?
Right.
But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to know about that, and I think that we're going to have election season coming on us soon.
Oh boy!
So come the fall, people are going to be announcing for governor. And for lieutenant governor, they were announcing already, and we're going to see a whole list of candidates.
And if you're a candidate and you want to come on the show, send me an email, give me a call. How will I know that you want to be on the show unless you tell me?
It's good, and it's a good free way to get your word out, what you want to do, and what you want to do for the people. So, I mean, I think that's a great idea that you do. That's a good public service that you do for people that are wanting to run, because it's so expensive.
Well, there was a reason I set up the video interview series, was because I didn't want anybody to think that I was doing a story on anybody that didn't come right from them. Especially at the time when I first started the paper. It was right after COVID, and there was a lot of fake news. And, I thought, wow, how do you know? If someone's writing a story about something, how do you know it came right from the source? So this is our way of...
No, it's a good idea, and I think people will be calling. There'll be a lot of people running now. I mean, I think basically I don't know about you, when I talk to people now, they're very disgusted with government. A lot of people. They're kind of like, taxes. Our taxes in Providence are going up.
Yep.
I mean, today they said there was an article, 6% tax hike. I mean, that's not good, and it's not good for the seniors, and it's
No.
not good for anyone. Um, it's not affordable in this day and age to have any tax increase.
Right.
And we're going to see a lot of changes statewide, too. We have, although the state budget is focusing on affordable housing, Medicare reimbursements, and a lot of good things, there's also a change in if you sell your home, you're going to pay more money. You pay a conveyance tax, and now you're going to pay like 2% more.
Oh.
And that adds up. So these things that are coming down the pipe, people are going to have to answer for them when they run for election and knock on those doors.
Yes.
There's one way to lose a vote when you hit someone's pocketbook.
Oh yeah. But you know what the thing is you got to pay. I mean, look at the situation in Texas. They didn't want to pay for the alarm system, and now and who pays? I mean, the children pay.
And last night, that horrific fire, the fire department was on saying that they were understaffed, and they said they could have saved more people. I don't know if that's true, but I will say this: the seniors were all in there, and a lot of them were disabled. And a lot of them couldn't get out.
Right.
And
that was in Fall River, right?
Fall River. And the fire chief said it took some of them 40 minutes of the firefighters, 40 minutes to get to some of them people. And in this day and age, that shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No one should have had to die.
No.
I mean, it's outrageous. It is outrageous.
I wonder sometimes if we're all just so busy scrolling on our phone, and our heads are in the internet, that we're not paying attention to what's going on in the real world. And I'm going to call it the real world, the physical world, the world we live in. Where you put grandma. You put grandma in this place.
Right.
We should make sure that grandma's okay.
I visited someone in a nursing home, and I could hear the person in the next room crying and saying, they had a form of dementia and they were calling for their loved one. And it's extremely sad.
Yep.
And some people are left in the nursing home. And there was a man on TV last night was crying. He said, "I have nobody. My 2 daughters died. I have nobody." It was very, very sad. And he was crying on TV that he had nothing left. And he wanted his daughter's ashes.
Oh.
So the firemen went back into the rubbish and they got the urn of ashes, which was really a miracle. It's like everybody has to care a little bit more about each other right now, because things are getting.
Yeah, that's why I like to do a lot of focus on our nonprofits and our people out there who are trying to help raise funds for the different organizations. I had no idea there were so many.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of the nonprofits that are suffering now, and they need help. And I guess at Christmas time they get a lot of donations, but during the rest of the year, people sort of forget, that they exist. They need help.
Right.
But our seniors deserve. In China, the seniors are treated like royalty. Over here, a lot of people forget us.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Just aggravate. It's sad.
Very sad.
And our children, I mean, when all those children that died in Texas, I mean, I kept saying to myself, how did that happen? Like, did a gush of a wave come through and...
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible tragedy. I don't write about any of this kind of stuff in our paper because we try to keep it, uplifting.
Right.
But I watch all the time. I see what's going on in the world, and it is, it's sad when we make choices that save money and lose lives. I mean, that's really all
And that's why, the state I'm getting back to affordable housing. I know many young mothers who are single. They can't, a two-bedroom apartment is like $2,700 a month
That's
now.
ridiculous.
A one-bedroom is like $2,200 a month. It's outrageous.
My first two-bedroom apartment was, I think, $600.
I'm older
And
than
that was
you.
in Newport.
My first apartment rental was $250 a month. And Douglas Terrace Apartments, and it was my girlfriend and I. We were, and we were in our 20s, and I'll never forget. I mean, it was very strict. They were very strict, but we had we had like a little lake over there and ducks and everything. But can you imagine paying that 10 times that now?
Right. I mean, granted, with inflation, the income has come up, but not enough to cover that gap. I mean, the difference between 250 and 2,500 is astronomical.
What? There are a lot of empty apartments because people want to be greedy.
Right.
They want to charge 2,500, 2,700 when they could lower the price and rent it. When they're losing all those months, I mean, it's stupid. They're losing all those months keeping it vacant until they get that big price, Yeah,
I can't think of a single area that I would be willing to pay that much money to live in.
No, and us.
I mean, if it came with all meals, if they were going to feed me 3 times a day, do my laundry, and clean, then maybe I'd consider
Well, it's funny because I was with a friend's house, and she was looking up hotel rooms to go with her children for like a 3-day weekend. So she was looking in Westerly, certain place that is on a pond there, I don't want to say the name of it. And I had recommended it to her because I went there several years ago and it was affordable. Well, now it's $1,500 a night.
Oh my God.
And I looked at it and I said, wow. So it's a tough thing for people to be able to have a family and afford to do things, to go out and eat, to go to, this is a nice family restaurant. I have to give him kudos because his prices are affordable. They really are. But you go in some restaurants, you look on the menu.
Right.
How can people go out with a family? You can't.
Right.
It's so expensive.
So I like to, in the listings, I list things that are family friendly. Try to list the free events. Not everything's free, but at least if it's affordable. Festivals and stuff like that.
And it's good that you have the ads in the paper, that you advertise these restaurants and you advertise the places that, are affordable and people can go to. Because people need to know, and some of them even put coupons, which is great.
Yeah.
So if you
we have $1 off at Caserta Pizza every month in the paper.
If you pick up
Plus, this is the Cohesive Inn, which love it here. They're lovely people.
You pick up the Rhode Island Wave, and you get all the knowledge you need. Because we give it to you.
And you can get it online. So tidbits. So our tidbits, what's in, what's out. We're going to get a little bit of we're going to get whatever gossip you can find on these housewives.
Get some gossip, and we'll get
a little bit of gossip, a little bit of politics.
A little bit of politics, a little bit of something in Hollywood, like Brad Pitt. I always liked Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt, although I didn't like what he did to Jennifer Aniston, but he's getting married again, I don't think he had the wedding yet, but, I want to check that out. And, Rhode Island's own Olivia Copo, who married the football star, just had a baby.
Oh.
So we'll have some tidbits in there, some Rhode Island nostalgia and some things in there. And do you remember when, I don't know if people remember, but it's a little one fun fact. We used to go sledding down New Connecticut Hill in Silver Lake. And I don't know if anybody of your viewers remember that, but it was the steepest hill ever, and it still is. And they had a ski slope. And now, I guess, the rec center's there, and they have a swimming pool for the kids, and a beautiful playground. which is good to know if you're in that area and you want to take your kids to the Almagno swimming pool. You know, these are the good things that make up a neighborhood.
Yes, yes, yes. I would love to do more things like birth announcements, wedding announcements.
I know. I think the wedding announcements would be so much fun, and if they
A lot of young people probably don't even know. Like back in the day, this was kind of what the Rhode Island Wave is based on. Was back in the day when you picked up your local paper, that was what you found.
when originally when I first started writing, when it wasn't the Wave, and a lot of it was black and white, they used to put on engagements, and so the bride would send in her engagement picture and a write up, and they would put it in, and it would go in monthly, and you know, it was they used to do that in the journal.
Right.
They used to call it the society page. Everybody had the pretty pearls, but now, you know, the paper, the journal is like this big. I mean, the paper doesn't cover that. But I mean, I think that if people would have to pay big money, just like the funeral, to have a funeral.
Very expensive. Yeah.
The obituary is very expensive, but that's something that you could work on where, for minimal charge, you could put that in there.
Well, I'd rather do wedding announcements than obituaries.
Oh, the wedding announcements, I know, with the bride's picture.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole point of it is the whole point, I think, of the Rhode Island Wave is to try to find the good news, because there's just so much bad news out there that
I know.
You don't need to look for it.
We had remember when we did the work on Miss Rhode Island?
That was fun. That was you made that happen. You brought in our first Miss Rhode Island. And then after that, now they call us. I don't have to go looking for them.
And we were the only ones that did that. No one else did that.
Right.
No other paper.
Right.
And they still don't.
I know.
And I mean, it goes on. They go online, and I met some. In fact, I was asked to be a judge in one of the pageants, Miss Rhode Island, and it was fun. I liked it. It was fun, but you can only do it once every 5 years.
Huh.
But I mean, it was fun because it was uplifting. The girls were.
They work hard. Those girls work hard.
They work hard, and the girls are just so lovable. A lot of them,
and they get a lot out of it, even if they don't win. I mean,
they have scholarship. So I mean, it's a good thing. We need more things like that.
Yes.
We need more things like
that. Well, I think there are things like that out there. We need to highlight. So that's our goal, is to highlight more things like that. Hopefully, keep on looking for the Rhode Island Wave. Look for Joanne Giannini's column. Find more good things going on in Rhode Island. And if you're a business out there and you want to support what we're doing, please give me a call or send me an email and help sponsor the Rhode Island Wave, sponsor a page, or sponsor these videos. That would be great too, because we need help. But the goal here is to feature some of the good news that's going on in Rhode Island. As a matter of fact, Thursday I'm going to Dick Shapey. Is tomorrow night. His car, he does antique cars, and I'm going to go visit him at his Charles Street location and interview him and take a little tour of his cars.
Oh, wow.
And that'll be in the August issue.
That'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Be fun. But yeah, just if you have any tidbits you want, a gossip you want to send me, I'm going to be like Kathy Lee Griffith. So it was great. It's great.
A little gossip is fun.
A little gossip is fun. It can't hurt, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone.
No, we don't want to hurt anybody.
No.
If you can't help them, at least don't hurt them.
But keep in touch and pick up the Wave, as I said. Spread it around.
Look for it online. The Rhode Island, all spelled out, wave.com.